Hello, I'm Gavin Hoey and you're watching Creative Lightroom. This week we're having a look at curves. Now, curves, they can be pretty scary, especially if you've tried curves in Photoshop, because curves in Lightroom are exactly the same. Fortunately, when you've learnt the basics, they can be a hugely creative tool, and I've got two really simple curves techniques to show you today. First one is a wild, wacky and totally out there technique, creates amazing looking pictures. Second one, completely different. The second one is brilliant if you do photo restoration. So let's start with the wild and wacky one. Let's do that one first. So on screen here, I've got a picture of Iffy from the rap band Grizzly South. And he's a man with a message, and I think his message might be pretty clear. So I'm going to jump into the tone curve here, and on the tone curve you see I have a straight line. I'm working on the linear curve, that's the one you want to be on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click roughly in the middle and drag straight down to the bottom. Now when I do that, I add my own point to the tone curve and I flatten off a large area, but we still have this curve going up. So anywhere on that curve that's going up, I'm going to click again and drag straight up to the top. And when I do that, we get an effect known as posterization. So posterization is simply where you take the number of tones in the image and reduce them down to a few dozen or even just a handful of tones. The more you do it, the more dramatic the effect becomes. And you can control the dramatic effect by making this line more vertical. If it's very, very vertical, the effect is very strong. If it's more of a slope, then the effect isn't quite as strong. And I think for me, probably around about there works well. Now that's the basic effect done. So let's jump back into the basic tab and make a few changes here. Sort of thing you might want to change, well, color temperature is a good one to look at because you can get some interesting color effects going on there. I actually quite like it warm, so I think I'll leave it on the warm side. You might want to change, say, exposure having done this, or in this case, I think bring the highlights back down to recover that area there. It's actually looking a little bit yellow now, so maybe we'll just tweak that. For me, really, I think it's a matter of opening up the shadows and really punching up the clarity and the colors with vibrance like that. So as you can see, that is a really strong, dramatic effect. What about the other one? Well, the other one is for photo restoration. Completely opposite end of the scale. This is a very gentle, very nice effect. If you've photographed an old negative or you've scanned an old negative, we're going to return it to a positive using curves. So let's jump over to the negative picture. Here it is. And on this picture, all I need to do is jump over to the tone curve, find the little dot in the bottom left corner, and I'm going to click on that dot and start dragging it up to the top left. As I go, you see it gets brighter and brighter and brighter, and eventually I get right up to the top and it goes white. Now I'm going to come over to the other side, the top right corner, find the little circle there and drag that down and down and down, and you start to return this from a negative back into a positive, just like that. And there it is. There is a very quick way of turning a negative into a positive. All I need to do is jump over to the basic tab here. One thing to watch is all of the sliders are now reversed because this is an inverted image. So exposure works backwards to the way you think it is. Blacks are white, whites are black, shadows are highlights, highlights are shadows. Very, very confusing until you kind of get your head around it. But fortunately, clarity is still clarity. Saturation is still saturation. And there's a wonderful, simple way of turning a negative back into a positive. Now that's a 60-year-old photograph, and one of the people in that picture is my granddad. Question is, can you guess which one? So there we are, two entirely different techniques, both using tone curve inside of Lightroom 5. Now if you want to find out more about me, don't forget to check out my website at www.gavtrain.com, or join me right here again next week for another episode of Creative Lightroom. I'm Gavin Hoey, thanks for watching.